Hey guys, welcome back. Today we're going to talk about team building, finding fellow journeyers to go along with us. Last week we talked about being a light and what happens when our light grows dim. So we're out in the country. Where we live is out in the country. Our electricity goes on and off a lot. It flickers on and off. We never know when it's going off because the lines are old. Where we live, actually, we get a lot of wind. 30-mile-an-hour wind is not unusual for us. That is a breeze for us. Just right before Christmas, we had two really, really cold days. The wind chill was minus 27, and the wind was blowing 40 miles an hour, and which created a lot of issues for our electricity. So it was very fascinating to watch it come on and off and on and off. And that was exhausting as it come on every 15 minutes, and it would work for 15 minutes, go off for 5 seconds, on for 15 minutes, off for, I counted it, and it was very frustrating. And it was very unnerving, and I thought about, well, what does that look like for us when we actually lose our light? When our light goes dim, it's exhausting. And I think probably one of the reasons why our light goes dim sometimes is because sometimes we choose to walk alone. Sometimes we choose this journey because we just want to do it alone because it takes more energy, emotional energy, to have people on your team to go along. And so that's what we want to focus on today. Let's read Luke. We're going to read Luke 6:12 through 13. One day soon afterward, Jesus went up on a mountain to pray, and he prayed to God all night. At daybreak, he called together all his disciples and chose 12 of them to be his apostles. That's very fascinating because he was alone. He had to get refilled by God. But then he came back, and he came back to his disciples and realized there's a lot of disciples, but he chose 12. He didn't need anything from any of them. But Jesus chose community because he knew how important it was. And he knew how important it was to demonstrate that to others. He chose a team of 12. And Brad's fixing to talk about, let's start building our teams for our children and for ourselves.
Yeah. We need people around us. We know from a mental health perspective that the most dangerous life we can live is a life of isolation. We need people. And while Jesus didn't need another person because they brought a different skill set, we actually do. We need people who have different areas of expertise than we have. And I'm going to tell you this morning that we actually need two teams. And it's important because when we have a child with special needs, it's easy to lose our personal identity and just think always in terms of Haley and what's important for Haley and who's on her team. But when we lose our personal identity, we likely start moving away from the things that are life-giving to us, the things that keep our lights from flickering, as Karen talked about. This can even include our spouses. We can get so focused on being Haley's mom or Haley's dad that we lose sight of the important relationship of marriage and continuing to do things to pour into this. And we have all the great excuses, right? We're just so busy, or by the time we finally get her settled, we're just so tired, or any number of things that keep us from working on the very relationships that keep our lights from flickering. And so I want us to spend some time just focused on today how we maintain our team so that we stay healthy and give out of the overflow to our spouses and to our kids. To be clear, when we have kids with special needs, we have to make adjustments to the way we spend our resources. It just is. All of them, whether it's time or energy or money or emotion. But we have to remember that that's not the only role that we play. We're unique individuals with unique needs that need to be met at some level in order to stay healthy for this long journey. We've called it a marathon before. We have to stay healthy for it. We're also spouses, and I just mentioned that. And this is a relationship that has unique needs to it. That when we meet those needs, it gives us energy for the rest of the journey. And so we don't want to forget that. We will have to adjust some things in these roles, no doubt, but we cannot ignore them if we are going to be healthy in the long run. So yes, we need a team for Haley, and we need to remember that it's her team. It's not our team. We're a part of it. Maybe we're the coaches of it. We're the vision casters for it. But it is her team. And so we need people who can help us get her where God wants her to go. And so we look for people who have different areas of expertise than we have to help her along the journey. These people also need to have a passion for kids like her, young adults like her at this point. They need to bring something that adds to our team that helps her to be the light in the community like God has envisioned her to be. Each person on her team will serve a unique role. And those people will change over her lifespan. When she was a young girl and in school, she had teachers that were with her in elementary school that didn't go forward with her. She had therapists that were there. She had doctors that were there when she was young that no longer are a part of her team. She had friends that were part of her team, and on and on and on. But those people, those faces come and go. The only constant members of her team are Brad and Karen. So see how important that team is, and how are you doing at building it? And then we need a second team, and that is our team. Okay, it's that group of people that helps to keep us healthy. And so the question is, who are those people that give you life? Who are those people that fill you? Who are those people that put a smile on your face? Okay. We talked a little bit about that in lesson 2, that it's important to build and maintain those relationships that encourage you in the challenges you face. We talked also about getting outside of the special need community to have some typical relationships so that we get to maintain that part of our life as well. And so who are those people that we're connected to and that get to speak into our life, that encourage and challenge and support us in being the best person we can be, so that we are light, just as we're trying to help Haley be light. You can clip that. Mm-hmm. This is why identity is so important. I'm not just Haley's dad. I'm not just Karen's husband. I'm also just Brad. And if I'm not taking care of myself, if I'm not doing the things that maintain my personal, not just physical health, but emotional and spiritual and relational health, then at some point my light's going to flicker. I will experience burnout. And so it's important to do this. And what I want to be very clear about is that when we're taking care of ourselves, we are not being selfish. Okay? That would go against God and all of the values that you talked about and thought about in an earlier teaching, right? But what I want to convince you of is that our kids do not need martyrs. You know what a martyr is, right? And you know how all martyrs end up, right? They all end up dead. Our kids and our spouses and our friends don't need us to be martyrs. They need us to be healthy human beings that they can count on for the long haul. They need parents who will give them a good example to look to for a healthy, God-honoring marriage, even when it's hard. Okay? And if you don't have a team, you are far more likely to experience that burnout that we've talked about many times and we're all trying to avoid. And when we experience that, everyone suffers. We will talk more about how to build your team next time. But for this session, what we want to focus on is in your group conversation, what does a healthy you look like? Now, this is about the you part of that routine that you worked on earlier, and you may refer back to those priorities, but this is specifically focusing on what keeps you healthy. What is that hobby that you enjoy doing that doesn't really produce anything maybe, but it fills you and it strengthens you and encourages you? Who are those people that you just enjoy having coffee with, or any of those things that just fill you up? And where are those things in the regular routine? How often do you do them? Okay? I don't do those things as often as a married person with children as I did way back when I was single. But because they're important things to me, I need to continue to do them somewhere in the regular routine. And then I need to look at what keeps me from doing those. And what I want from this group is, how do we as a group encourage each other to do the things that keep us healthy as individuals, so that we're better spouses and we're better parents, right? I look forward to to hearing about the work that you're doing in this area, and I hope you find it to be an encouragement and a joy. See you next time.
See you guys. Bye.